Ready? Yeah. Welcome, Negronis with Nord, episode 49. Thank you for noticing. This is a new suit. Have I worn this yet? You don't know? Haley doesn't know every single outfit that I have worn on this show, but this is a new suit. I had my friends at J Muser make it. Gray flannel. This is as close as you could probably get, or as I would want to get, to wearing sweatpants at work. It is the coziest, warmest suit that I have had made. It's also a complete workhorse. This is like the kind of thing you can wear like twice a week and nobody knows you're wearing it twice a week. Like a navy suit or a gray flannel suit. You can just wear the fucking shit out of that. Nobody knows that you're doing it over and over again. Anyway, we're gonna talk about de-influencing today, hopefully for the last time. This is a topic that will not die. Everybody wants to talk about it. But before we do that, we are gonna talk about Meta's new verification product that they are rolling out. Meta continues their half a decade long tradition now of just blatantly stealing ideas from other platforms. We had the Be Real competitor, we had all of TikTok that we've stolen, and now we're taking Elon's failed verification play and rolling it out on Instagram. It's either $11.99 or $14.99. You're going to be able to pay to get the blue check, increased access to customer service. You'll get priority ranking in search and recommendations, make the verification process more transparent and available to anyone. Listen, as a verified person, one, I take offense to this, okay? My blue check fam, where you at? Like, this is bullshit, right? We should be gatekeeping verification. This is not something everybody should have. You should have to have a friend who works at Instagram who can get you verified to be able to get verification. I think that is a cleaner and more fair system. But what does it mean? It probably means most of y'all are gonna pay, whether it feels like that is worth it or not, unfair or not. Is it true that, Facebook made $80 billion off of its users last year? Isn't that enough? I mean, that's a valid point. What's interesting is that if you heard the adoption on Twitter, a lot less people paid for verification than I think Elon anticipated. I've been locked out of my Twitter for 2 months. I know only a couple 100,000 people had paid for verification. So couching this in some idea that this is a money grab for Meta and they're gonna make all this money off of it is a bit naive given how much money they make on advertising, which is something like $30 million a minute. Wait. Meta makes $152,000 a minute. $152,000 a minute. The $11.99 verification a month, it's not gonna make a dent. I think part of this is probably that Meta has essentially no customer service. If anyone has tried to solve a problem with their account, you will notice that it is really, really difficult to get someone on the line. I am experiencing the same things with Twitter, as I can't get anybody to help me at Twitter get my account back. It's interesting that they said part of this is increased customer service, and I wonder if part of it is that having to put a lot of resources towards customer service for people's accounts, especially with impersonations. I think that this happens a lot, and so they're probably spending a lot of time shutting down impersonation accounts that are impersonating people. They are spending a lot of people resources doing that. This is a way to offset some of that costs and also make verification available for anybody who wants to pay for it, meaning they don't have to pay as much attention to the accounts that are impersonating you, since they won't rank them in search and things like that. So I wouldn't pay too much attention to people saying this is some big cash grab or exploiting its users and this is blah, 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 blah. The theme of this show recently is don't fall prey to corporate naivete. Have, some understanding of how these companies and how this market works. It is important to push back against reactionary content that is designed to incite some emotion and get you pissed off about something to plug into the algorithm. It's important to have intellectual honesty and integrity and be able to understand these problems and understand what opportunities are there, and again, not get pulled into the rage vortex that is the modern internet. Luckily, our eyebrow overlord, Adam, what's his last name? Our eyebrow overlord, Adam, from Instagram, did tell us that those of us who have been verified before will not have to pay, and our verification will hold. I wouldn't mind like a gold check or something, Adam, if you are watching. I still would like to be separated in some way from everybody else who just pays for it.
Probably best. With your business and politics, that sort of thing wouldn't interest you.
So, let's talk about de-influencing. First, let me say, reporters are obsessed with this shit, okay? I have done 2 interviews in the last week about de-influencing, and they were interesting, great conversations with 2 reporters that I respect, and we will share the articles when they come out. It is interesting how much the press has latched onto this. I think part of it is for traditional media, the idea that the age of the influencer and influence and influencing could be coming to an end is wildly exciting. Unfortunately, it is disingenuous and not true. I understand why people are reporting on this, because it's like, ooh, there are some people on TikTok talking about de-influencing. Is this the end of influence, right? Am I catching the beginning of a bigger trend that in 3 years we'll look back on and say, oh, that was the beginning, right? And so I think some reporters are asking, like, is this the beginning of the end? Are people sick of being advertised to? Are they sick of being told they need to buy these products? Ultimately, again, it's a valid question to ask. The answer is no. Ultimately, even if you look on TikTok, this has 210 million views. Sephora Squad has over 400 million views, by the way. Reporters, the moral of the story is if you want to write about something, you should write about Sephora Squad. 200 million views is just not a lot. You know, we were talking about the dupes trend, which is like half joke about fake knockoff products, and I think half about creating content showing more affordable alternatives to expensive products. That's got 2.7 billion with a B views. So dupes has 14 times, singular. Hashtag has 14 times the amount of views. When we started talking about de-influencing 3 or 4 weeks ago, it was at about 110 million views. So it's interesting that it really hasn't picked up that much steam. So my advice and thoughts around this remain the same. It is not a trend that's going to impact the consumption behavior of American consumers. It is not something that is going to change influencer marketing in any capacity. It's not something our brands are talking about, really. It's not something that necessarily is going to impact your career. To me, it does indicate the fact that people are connecting with it, the fact that it is like creating this spark in reporters and other people to talk about it. And obviously, more people are writing about it because people are reading these articles. I think there is real interest in it. As influencers, we should be more conscious of the products that we recommend. We should really believe in those products. We should be honest in our recommendations. We should not take sponsored posts for products that we don't believe in. We should protect our audience. Your audience is the way you make money. You should be fiercely protective of them. Because when you start showing them shit they don't want to see, they're going to stop looking. When they stop looking, the algorithm's going to stop picking you up. When the algorithm stops picking you up, your stats are going to fall. When that happens, less people are going to view, and it's you start the death spiral. And if it's been years of you just saying positive things about products, that throwing in a critique every once in a while will like spark in your followers' minds, like, oh shit, this is a real person giving me real opinions. I'm not just getting ads constantly, because I think that idea is dangerous. If you're going to say something negative, I do think there's a line between negative and nasty, or honest and mean. If you truly hate a product, I think it's a personal choice if you talk about that. I think there is some value in especially viral, buzzy products to have counterbalances and voices that say, hey, here's what I don't think is great about this. The idea of like yucking someone's yum is also like something to watch out for, right? Like, do I just not like this personally? Do I think this thing is fundamentally flawed? What is the right way to talk about this? Is this a relationship, a brand I want to have a relationship with? But also that it's a small industry. And again, once you tip over to being nasty, other brands might look at that, even if it's not their brand, and say, ooh, I want to be careful about this person, right? And that's like something that is interesting about, you know, the new kind of algorithm-driven world that we live in, is that this kind of rage content and shitting on a brand is going to like maybe give you a little viral hit. But if you get known for really negative reviews of brands, no brand's going to work with you. You can't monetize it because you're toxic. It's a small industry. And it is an industry, it's a workplace. If you were a talented employee at Fohr, let's say, and you spent all your time shitting on other people's work that you felt wasn't up to standard, we wouldn't keep you here, we would fire you, right? Because we have like a no asshole policy, and ultimately we believe that no matter how talented you are, if you're an asshole, that like we don't want to work with you. And so again, you just have to watch that line, make sure that you're not playing into the TikTok, especially the TikTok rage engine, to get views in the short term, which make it hard for you to have a career in the long term. You're thinking about decades of doing this. How are you going to build a career over decades? Not how am I going to get a video to pop off in the next week? That's the mindset of someone that's truly going to win in this space and be able to build a career. It's hard when somebody sends you a product to say, hey, I didn't love this thing. Again, why I encourage you to go out and buy products that you want to review and try and be honest about those things. I think it'll go a long way in making sure that community stays engaged with you, that you continue to hold their trust. And so this stuff is important. Individual choices that you make have consequences. And as we said, there's no silver bullet, one post that's going to ruin your career. We saw that with Michaela. We saw that with Michaela, who will continue to do fine even though she created controversy, right? But death by 1,000 paper cuts, right? Like this idea that like, if you keep doing it, it will eventually have an impact, and you will be looking around in a couple of years saying, what happened to my reach? What happened to my audience? I can't reach my audience anymore. This is bullshit. And you'll be blaming it on TikTok or Instagram or whoever we're blaming. You should be fiercely defensive of that audience's trust. And once you lose it, you have lost your ability to monetize it, and your career in this space is over. Oh, that's a positive, another week in paradise here on Negronis with Nord. Ask us questions, I will answer them, and we'll see you next week. Cheers.